I got a chance to look through the Route 52 study that you all use. And I found a lesson online, and I was actually very, very amazed at how it was set up. Like I stated before, sometimes there are a lot of curriculums that leave a lot to imagination. A lot of things that you might have to go out and figure out, and you might have to figure out, okay, well, I don't have an arts and craft activity this week, or how can I, pick a song for this? But this curriculum that you have, it has songs, it has arts and crafts, it has bonus activities, it has the Bible story, but not even more than that. For some people who may not be as comfortable talking for children, it tells you what to say. It tells you exactly what to say. And I'm sure you don't have to go word for word by the script, but if there comes a time when you're not sure what to say, a lot of times in here it will tell you exactly what it is that you have to say. When I talked about seeing the bigger picture, at the beginning, it gives you the objectives. What is it that the children are going to learn? What is the bigger picture? Now, if you read through this lesson and you're like, you know what? I know another activity that can kind of help them figure out that Jesus is the Son of God, as long as it fits into this bigger picture and you've got the tone for it, I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do that. But you have to know what that bigger picture is first. You have to plan ahead, know what is it that we're supposed to be talking about. Call my friend, you know what? You got any other ideas? I really want to try this. Or do you have a skit maybe we can do? But you've got to know what that bigger picture is first, okay? So we're going to kind of walk through this lesson. And this lesson, after I shrunk it down, it was still about 5 pages. So it's pretty extensive as far as telling you exactly what to do and when to do it and what you need. It tells you exactly what you need, okay? So it starts off with what the children will know and how you're going to know that they know that, okay? So for this lesson, it says the children will know that Jesus is the Son of God. They will feel a sense of awe because of who Jesus is, and they will worship Jesus and tell others about him. And you'll know that they have those things when they explore ways to worship Jesus. They tell about the time Jesus came back to life. They work on memorizing John 3:16. They tell what is special about Jesus, and they worship Jesus, God's Son, okay? It starts off talking about a worship center. And depending on what your schedule may be like when the children come in, this may be something that you can incorporate. This particular activity talks about a craft that they can do when they come in. And it even gives you some questions that you can ask the children as they may be coming in at different times. If someone's a little late and the other children are already working, you can kind of move around and say, well, how do you and your family celebrate Jesus coming back to life after dying on the cross? So that's that way we can kind of get to know the children. They can become comfortable with us. We can start to have those conversations, even at the very, very beginning. And of course, depending on what your setup is, this is one of those routines that you may want to be able to put in place every week. They have songs of praise. They tell you exactly what you need. You need a CD player, the CD, and they have some optional things on here, the bells. And then in bold, it tells you what to say. We can worship Jesus in many ways. What are some ways we can worship Jesus? Okay? So it's got a script if you're not really sure what it is to say. And of course, once you've had a chance to read over the lesson and plan for yourself, you may be comfortable with your own words and your own language, and that's perfectly fine. But if there comes a time when you're not sure, okay, I'm not sure how to make that connection or how to get this part started, it kind of scripts out what it is for you to say. We've got a song, the Bible story, and then even has some review questions so that you know that the children were able to grasp what it is that was the point from the lesson. One of the things that I think is very, very important in here talks about the Bible memory verse. And it gave you an example on here, is there an echo? So if the Bible verse were John 3:16, you could ask the children, does anyone know what an echo is? Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say something, and then you're going to say it after me. I'm going to say a little bit of the Bible verse, okay? And then I might say, God loved the world, and then you say, God loved the world, just a little bit at a time. But trying a different strategy every week, whether it's echoes or whether it may be cheerleaders before. Sometimes you can separate the kids into 2 different groups. All right, okay, this side, we're going to be cheerleaders. We're going to see how loud and how excited you can say it. Now, the point is that they get that verse over and over and over again. So how many different ways can you say it? Let's say it in a great big giant voice. Let's say it in a teeny tiny baby voice. The point is that they're saying it over and over and over again. Will you look silly sometimes? Yes. But it's not about you. It's not about us. It's about how are we going to get this message to the children? How are they going to be able to grasp what it is, and how are they going to be engaged in what it is that that God wants for them to have for that week? Let's see. Then there's another arts and crafts activity. Arts and crafts, you're really, really, really gonna have to make sure that you're planning ahead for this one. And sometimes you may not be able to do the arts and crafts activity, but if you plan ahead and you look, you say, oh, you know what? Oh, I can't do that one. I've got to come up with something else. But if you're not looking ahead, if you're not planning ahead, you won't know that until you get there. So just even if it's just a few minutes every day, you know what? Let me look at this part this week. You know what? Let me call Sister Trish and see if we want to use a hammer and a nail in the class. And if she says no, well, I've got to find something else. But that goes back to that planning. If you don't know what's in here, it's not going to be good if you come in at 9:50 Sunday morning and say, you know what, Sister Trish, we don't have an arts and crafts lesson. That's where the planning comes in, okay? And then reviewing again, it talks about what can I do to please God, coming in worship. And then this one has a bonus activity, some other things that they may be able to make. And like I said, you may have some people that are really, really good at arts and crafts. And you may have some people, arts and crafts is not their talent. And that's okay. But that's part of you all getting to know each other, knowing what everybody's strengths and weaknesses are. Remember, like I said with the puppet, I'm not a fan of the puppets. But I had someone who loved to do puppets. So instead of completely, let's not do arts and crafts because you know what? I don't like arts and crafts. Let's find someone who can help us with arts and crafts, someone who just loves to make things, and have them come in and to help us out. Any questions?